Will Donald Trump's new doctor make America sick?
Donald Trump has a new doctor on his panel. The guy refers to himself as the anti-Fauci. Seriously, his name is Scott Atlas. Is he an expert on infectious disease? No, he doesn't deal with infectious disease. He doesn't deal with infections at all. He's a radiologist. A radiologist who, is especially is looking at nerves using radiation. No background whatsoever in the study or treatment of infectious diseases outside of just basic medical school stuff. This, according to the Washington Post, Atlas has argued both internally and in public that an increased case count, that is more people getting infected with COVID, an increased case count will move the nation more quickly to herd immunity and won't lead to more deaths if the vulnerable are protected. The problem with that is that, so here's his theory in a nutshell. And he was laying this out on Fox News a month or so ago, and Trump watched him on Fox News and said, "Get that guy in here. He's going to be part of my team." And he is now part of Trump's team. And basically, the argument that he was making was that, this virus doesn't kill people who are basically under 50 as frequently as it does people who are over 50. It does kill some. I mean, it has killed little children. But they're the exception rather than the rule. It does cause, apparently, in about 60 to 80% of cases, permanent heart damage. It can cause strokes. It can cause dementia. There's a whole bunch of side effects from this disease, ongoing heart inflammation. You've got, baseball players who've gotten it who can't play now, et cetera, et cetera. It does have all those problems, but it mostly just kills older people and people who are seriously not healthy, typically because they're obese. Those are the two major things that will cause you to die if you get coronavirus, or if you're over 60 or over 50, but particularly if you're over 60, or if you're really significantly overweight, which is a third of America. So basically, his theory is if we were to simply infect all the skinny people who are under 50 in America, that 2/3 of Americans, they will develop immunity to the disease. The side effects of their having ongoing heart disease or dementia or strokes or other things like that are not something that we're going to even put into the equation. And once you hit about 70, 75, 80% of the population having had the disease, then those people who are vulnerable, the third of Americans who are overweight, and I don't know what the percentage of Americans over the age of 60 is, but whatever it is, that chunk of Americans who are over 60, then they will be safe because the disease will stop circulating through the population. And actually, if we all lived in nice little airtight bubbles where skinny people never interacted with fat people, where young people never interacted with old people, where we all lived in our own little isolated Galt's Gulch, in our own little mini libertarian paradises, then, maybe Scott Atlas has something. But the simple fact of the matter is that, the more skinny, young, healthy people you get infected, the more obese or elderly people are going to end up with this disease because we live in a society. We live with each other. We work with each other. We interact with each other in the world, in the workplace, in the stores, and whatever it may be. The Washington Post also notes the United States has a higher number of vulnerable people of all ages because of high rates of heart and lung disease and obesity, and millions of vulnerable people live outside nursing homes, many in the same households with children whom Atlas believes should return to school. So this is the Washington Post's on this. And the best science suggests that if we simply let this thing just run wild in America to try to develop herd immunity, at least 2 million Americans would die. maybe many more, and tens of millions would be permanently individually disabled, mostly with heart disease, but with other conditions related to the heart. You know, SARS stands for severe acute respiratory syndrome, as I recall, or sudden acute respiratory syndrome. In other words, a disease of the lungs. And the first SARS virus was a coronavirus, and this is where SARS came from, actually just hit the lungs. But this SARS virus hits the lungs as a side effect of its hitting the blood vessels. And it's just that the lungs happen to have probably the highest concentration of the smallest blood vessels in the body, because this is where we exchange oxygen with the atmosphere. We take oxygen out of the atmosphere, put it into our bloodstream, and then we take waste material from metabolism, carbon dioxide, from our bloodstream and put it into the air in our lungs so it can be exhaled. So there's just this huge interface, large chunks of our blood basically being aerated with every breath. And so because there's all those blood vessels, that's where COVID seems to be showing up first. But it's actually hitting the entire vascular structure, the entire veins and arteries of the entire body. It's how it's causing, brain strokes. It's how it's causing heart attacks. It's how it's causing people to lose limbs. People are losing limbs all over the place because you're getting massive blood clots. The inside of the veins and arteries is actually becoming inflamed by this disease. And, Sweden tried this for a little while, and they've just said, this is just bat guano crazy, don't do this. And the Mr. Hancock, I believe his name is, the public health minister in the United Kingdom, suggested trying this, and Boris Johnson was all in on it for a while until people started dying at such high rates that the hospitals couldn't handle it. So here we are. We've got a new doctor in the White House. This is apparently going to be the new shtick from Trump. I think, frankly, he was rolling this out with his Nuremberg rally the other day at the White House, where he had 1,500 people sitting elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder. As I tweeted at the time, the two words I have not heard any commentators, any news reporters mention are Herman Cain. The guy who went to the Trump rally in Oklahoma and then died from COVID. Well, Herman Cain was 74 years old and he was black. What do you expect? Well, yeah. What is this, the new eugenics? Is this Trump's new way to deal with minorities because they're more likely to die?